These people are insane. Communists, that is. They're insane. And you've probably said things like this before. But before we get to John Kerry, Taylor Lorenz, let's understand the why. Because it really is amazing when you look back at the history of communism. It's not that long in the frame of things. We're dealing with 100 years, a little more, I get that. But 100 years really of communists establishing power in different places. So how have they killed so many people? It's bizarre. It's hard to find any other ideology, religion, however you want to describe it, that has managed to massacre that many people. And the answer is relatively simple if you're just willing to accept something that's simple, straightforward, fairly obvious, actually. You see, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, a great Russian writer and former prisoner in the Gulag system in the Soviet Union, called communists the enemies of humanity. That's one way to put it, but it doesn't necessarily explain everything. What they are at their core is anti-humans, anti-humanity. How could you, have you ever asked yourself this? When you look at something terrible they're doing, the border, let's make it about the border. How could they just let in all these murderers and rapists? Well, let me ask you, why don't you want murderers and rapists here? I realize that answer seems obvious. Well, because they're going to murder and rape people. But you see, that's where it is. You see what you just did? They're going to murder and rape people. And you have a heart for people, even people you've never met, and I'm glad you do. But the communist doesn't. It doesn't have that. Whatever that is inside of you, he doesn't possess it. It's not inside of him. He is a revolutionary fighting a revolution against the current system, against everything that is. And when you combine that revolutionary spirit with no care whatsoever for human beings, well, what can't you do to other humans? If humans don't matter, if you're not a unique God-breathed soul who has your own characteristics, the things you're supposed to accomplish on this earth, loves, hates, friends, family members, if you're none of those things, none of the things that make you a human being, if you're just an ant, well, why couldn't I kill you? How many ants would you kill? How many ants would it take for you to kill if you were walking around just stomping on ants? How many ants would it take before you felt bad? It's kind of a ridiculous question because you'd never feel bad. They're ants. You'd never feel anything at all. That's how the communist feels about all humanity, all human beings. It's why they were called enemies of humanity. It's why I and many others have called them anti-humans. It really, at their core, comes down to that. John Kerry came out yesterday. It was in a video. And he was talking about, and I'm going to make this clear, what he's about to say in this video, the things he's proposing in this video will not kill thousands. It would not kill millions. What John Kerry describes right here would kill billions.
There's really no polite way to put it. The climate crisis is killing people. It is knowingly, wittingly allowing people to die and infecting them with disease and providing them with air that kills people because we're not willing to take the steps necessary to do what we know we need to do. And every year now, millions of people around this planet are dying because fossil fuel and methane emissions, called greenhouse gas pollution, those methane emissions and CO2 emissions and nitrous oxide and other emissions are escaping into the atmosphere, being fed by the way in which we continue to choose to fuel our vehicles, propel our vehicles, heat our homes, light our factories, and so forth.
So, no vehicles? No more being able to move to and fro? No warmth in your home? Factories? The factories have to go? What John Kerry is describing is taking all of the advancement we've experienced in the past couple hundred years of human history taking that life expectancy up to unprecedented levels, comfort, access to medical care, school, capital, food, all kinds of things. What John Kerry is talking about is eliminating all those things, which would undoubtedly eliminate a large portion of the population of the planet. He will sit there on camera with a straight face and discuss the steps that need to be taken to, of course, save us from climate change, but those steps would kill billions of people with a B. Billions. It would wipe out the majority of the population of the planet. Starvation, misery, death, like you can't possibly imagine. And so, how could he be like this? Because he knows that. As big of a gigantic boob as John Kerry is, he does know that. You start talking about removing fossil fuels. I hate that term. That's a commie term, but fossil fuels. Talk about eliminating factories. It doesn't take a genius to follow that line down and figure out, wow, billions of people will die. So why does he say it? Because he doesn't care. Billions of people? Would you cry over billions of ants? Along these same lines, that United Healthcare CEO, head of an insurance company, health insurance company. I realize health insurance companies are never going to be on anybody's favorites list, so I got all that. But United Healthcare CEO, husband and father, executed on a street, on a sidewalk in New York City. And what I'm about to play for you is not some kind of a one-off. We have seen incident after incident, quote after quote after quote. This young lady's name is Taylor Lorenz. She talked about feeling joy when she found out this married man, father of two, was executed, and then, of course, tried to deny it.
I do believe in the sanctity of life, and I think that's why I felt, along with so many other Americans, joy, unfortunately, because it feels like...
Serious?
I mean...
Joy in a man's execution?
Maybe not joy, but certainly not empathy. Because again,
we're watching the footage. How can this make you joyful? This guy's a husband, he's a father, and he's being gunned down in the middle of Manhattan. Why does that make you joyful?
Thousands of Americans that be murdered. So are the tens of thousands of Americans, innocent Americans, who died because greedy health insurance executives like this one push policies of denying care to the most vulnerable people.
Should they all be killed, these healthcare executives? Would that make you even more joyful?
No, that would not.
Well, why not?
And,
why are you laughing?
I think because it wouldn't fix the system.
You seem to find the whole thing hilarious.
Just being honest. You can hate that vile little demon all you want. Just being honest. That's how they feel. When you don't place any value in human life, when they're ants to you, well, you can kill them all. And of course you heard John Kerry do it in the video. Well, of course it's always justified. Well, we have to do this. I have to kill billions. I have no choice. For that young lady, Taylor Lorenz, well, of course. I mean, I felt joy. After all, he was responsible for so much. So, of course, I was happy that he died. They always have an excuse. There's always a reason why they have no other choice but to be vile little monsters. And don't think this was some kind of a one-off. This has gone mainstream, the left-wing celebration of the execution of a CEO because people are unhappy with health insurance. Jimmy Kimmel, on his comedy show, talked about it.
So many women and so many men are going nuts over how good-looking this killer is. And there's a huge wave of horny washing over us right now. These are screen grabs of actual exchanges between our members of our staff and their friends, relatives, whatever. Veronica says, I need him so bad. No, like so bad. So bad. Okay, so I would visit him in prison and bake him cookies maybe. Perhaps more, but I haven't thought that far ahead. And it's not just women. This is from the husband of one of our staffers. Did you see the assassin? Yes, I'm so upset. Like, excuse me, LOL. I'm about to be a jailhouse bride. Because damn Shorty is so fine. I'm dead or willing to be. Texting all my friends in New York that I hope they get called to jury duty. God, I want to do jury duty so bad.
They can't help themselves. Anti-humans. It's who they are. Death, the death of human beings, simply means nothing to them. It's just a means to an end. Another ant to stomp on in the cause of the revolution. It's very, very sick. And it's important to remember all the wins we've had, election wins, culturally it's going our way. It's really important to remember we share a country with millions and millions and millions of sick communist freaks who think like that. They're called Democrats. Keep a lookout. All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I am right. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.